Okay. Okay. Now I think we're live. I
Oh,
think.
cool.
Yeah. Hello, folks. Yes, we are. I can see we have no viewers yet, so we are live. Hi, folks. You know who I am. I won't tell you any more than that because I've said it a million times. And I'm still rather sick and I've got cloudy brain a bit, but yeah, I'm getting better. But this is Brandon Massulo, author of the absolutely mind-blowing book that I've got right here with me, The Ghost Studies.
Oh, there it is. It's a nice,
Yes,
that's a
there
nice
it is.
bookmarker.
Yes, Alex got it for me.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a little claw. It looks like it's pulling the pages apart. It's quite cool.
that is cool.
I should turn my camera off. I normally turn my camera off, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't want it to be seen as self-promotion, but Steve wanted me to leave my camera on, so why not? I've got to get comfortable with it eventually. You seem to be. I mean, we were both awkward when we chatted first. You didn't
Oh,
like
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know. Sometimes you get distracted with the camera because you kind of look at yourself and then you lose your.
yeah,
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 with these Zoom meetings, it's almost more difficult than in person.
yeah. I keep my cam off. I don't know how to turn my cam on in Zoom meetings. I only accessed my first one at ASAP. God, last week or the other week for the general meeting, the election.
Oh,
So that
well,
was the first time that I actually got into Zoom. It just kept doing the spinning circle thingy, and yes,
yeah.
yes, but
Zoom is
yeah,
not good.
Zoom is bad. Zoom is
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. I haven't used it that much.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. That's why I've gone to StreamYard and yeah, whatever else, YouTube and yeah, other stuff. Now, good Lord, we're here. We've only got an hour. Now, good Lord, where do we start? I guess. I suppose the dog's not around at the moment. I love meeting pets. Everyone loves meeting
It
pets.
seems like if I've watched a couple of your podcasts, it seems like you talk about the books that we're reading right about now.
Yeah, I do a lot of standard questions to all my guests because you guys all have different answers. So, you know, what? Well, you do. Some of you get into this in a different way than others. And,
Yeah,
you know, some of you read different things than others, and some of you study different things than others. So,
I
and
think
some of
that's
you have
good.
different experiences in, you know, like in your childhood. Actually, I guess we could start there. Childhood. Were you always in Ohio?
Yeah, born and raised in Ohio.
Have
Um,
you lived anywhere else?
well,
You've just been
when
a
when I went to
Ahoy.
school at the University of Edinburgh, I was in Scotland
Edinburgh, of course. Yes, in
for a
Scotland.
year. But
Yes.
other than that, no, I've only lived in Ohio. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
And oh, sorry, you go on.
I was gonna say it's with Ohio. I went to school. Yeah, I was born here. I went to college here. For except for a year, I've only been in Ohio. Um, I guess I should go other
Well,
places, but I don't know. It's got everything I need. It's got 4 seasons.
yeah.
It's got okay weather. There's no alligators. Um,
Well, that's a bonus.
yeah, so it's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm scared to go south because I'm scared of the alligators and um, um, scared to go to other states because of tornadoes and bears. So Ohio's kind of that middle ground. You know, we don't get too much of the tornadoes. We don't get hurricanes. We don't get alligators. We don't get venomous snakes or anything like that. Well,
I
we
guess
do,
that's
but yeah,
I guess that's why you don't want to visit here. You know, everything bites over here. Well, a lot
yeah,
bites. Some
yeah.
might want to, but we don't know
Would not
it.
would not
They
fare
can't
well
taste.
where you're at.
We
Yeah.
have a few seasons. We have weird weather mostly where I live now. It's mostly really hot or mostly really cold. There's some in between days, but we're due for a storm here. By the way, there's no echo issues or anything.
No, actually,
You can
everything
hear me
sounds good.
okay?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good because yeah, we're due a storm here, and sometimes that causes echoes. And yeah, the other day I think with Rachel we had a couple of echo issues as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I got a notification from StreamYard. So I'm glad. I'm glad. Now, career history. How long have you been a clinical therapist for?
Oh gosh, let's see, 20 years. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a licensed clinical therapist in Ohio. I've been doing that, like I said, 20 years. Started off in inpatient units, inpatient psychiatric units, and then I went
Yes.
to community mental health systems. That's where you do individual counseling and group counseling
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
And then I worked in the ER for a number of years. So if someone has a emergency or psychiatric emergency, they end up in the emergency room. So there's
Yes.
usually somebody there that does a crisis evaluation, um,
Yes.
and then places the patient. So I did that for a number of years. And now I'm the director of a behavioral health program, a small program here in Ohio. And I've been doing that for about 7 years now. So,
That's that's great. But now did I was going to ask with your work, did you is that what inspired you to write the ghost studies, or did you have any experiences with, I know you can't name them, but were there any patients that had something that made you think about
yeah, I think when you meet that many people, so whether it's the emergency room and you're seeing three or four
yeah,
people a day, or I don't even know, maybe more than that, six patients
yes.
a day, or your individual where you're seeing probably about an average of 5 patients a day.
Well, they
You
take
do,
hours, and sometimes I guess some would
yeah,
take hours to
yeah, it's
count.
usually it's a long time, so you get to know people and you ask a
Yeah.
lot of um, I guess personal questions. So
Yes.
um, I did hear quite a few stories, and that's why I started kind of thinking there were some similarities to some stories, and that's what's got me going a little bit with the ghost studies.
Yes.
But it's like one of those things that's an evolution from years and years of reading. You kind of
Yes.
formulate your own kind of thoughts and hypotheses, and so I don't really know where it started or where I got the idea. um,
Yeah.
it's just kind of been gradually building up for years and years and years. And you've read a lot of the older stuff, the phantasms of the living, the census of
Yes.
hallucinations. Yeah.
Both that and human personality. Yes, I love
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yeah, human personality. So when you read those things, you kind of get your own thoughts, and then you mix them with some of the more current thoughts, and then
Yes.
you
Yes.
kind of come up with a
And I mean,
book.
you've got a lot of the old and current theories in your book. I mean, you mentioned Tyrrell's theory, and he's one of
Mhm.
my favorites. I mean, we
Yep.
were working on a project together ages ago, and I started writing about Tyrrell's theory because I love it. The carpenter and
Yeah.
the set builder. Yeah, it's all a stage production sort of thing.
Yeah. He equated it to like theater terms. I
Yes,
can't remember what
yes,
they were, but
yes.
yeah,
The director and that sort of thing.
yep. Yep. Yeah. He's often overlooked, I think. I don't think he gets enough credit. Um,
Yeah,
because I don't know exactly why people
I
didn't
was
really latch on to his thoughts too much for some reason.
I was going to ask that. I mean, who in others, in your opinion, do you think have been overlooked?
Um, it's hard to say because I feel like everyone's overlooked. But Tyrrell, I also liked Carrington. Uh,
Yes, Carrington. I did his drawing experiment. I love him.
yeah, I know it'll come to me.
Um, H.
Those are
H.
two.
Price. H. H. Price. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of like ghost huntery type people in the Victorian era who did a lot of great writing.
And Catherine
Obviously.
Crowe. Catherine Crowe. I mean, I think,
Oh, yep,
yeah,
yep. Forgot about Catherine Crowe.
she needs a great deal more credit.
Yeah, Frank Podmore and
Yes,
Sedgwick too.
yes,
Those types of people to me um, nowadays, even sitting down and reading their books nowadays, I think is pretty interesting. Um, and if you go back enough far enough in like the Journal Society for Psychical Research, you could find all kinds of different people with all kinds of different thoughts and theories, and just fun to look and read through those. Um, I'm sure I'm forgetting a heck of a lot of people, but um, those
So
are the ones that kind of stick with me. Uh,
Yeah. So am I probably. I mean, oh God, what else? Peter Underwood, Andrew Green. I mean,
Mhm.
those guys don't get a lot of attention. Peter Underwood, Andrew Green. Yeah. Lord, I've only got a small bookshelf at the moment, and I've got a lot of my stuff in storage. So, but yeah, I've got a lot that travels with me. So yeah, and I mean, the more current ones are also sort of recent history. Persinger, I think he's sadly, he doesn't get a lot of credit for much.
Yeah, I think people forget how many research articles he wrote. I can't even tell you. It's
Oh,
it's hundreds, I feel like.
and I was going to cover that. I mean, with the Harabin's frequency and the Schumann resonances,
Mhm.
I was going to cover that anyway, because, I mean, what are your thoughts on? I mean, it's all, it's a frequency connection sort of a thing, I guess.
Yeah, the frequency thing has been around. We talk about theories and you know from maybe the 1800s and frequencies of resonances,
Yes,
things like that has kind of been something that's been bopped around for years and years and years. Um, and in the book I go into a little bit more detail about frequencies and how they can kind of the thought in the
yes,
past as well as some current stuff about how it can
yes,
kind of cause entanglement and things like that. But um,
yes,
resonance is one of those things that I think we all hear of, like something resonates with me, or this movie resonates with me, or this person resonates with me. But
yeah,
in scientific terms, it's actually when one object vibrating, I think, at the same natural frequency of a second object forces that second object to kind of go into vibrational motion. That tuning fork is, you put that next to a guitar string, and then the guitar string starts kind of moving by itself
it sort of
almost.
matches the pitch, sort of matches
Yeah,
in a way.
it's
You sort
every
of,
object has its own resonant frequency, or how it vibrates, more or less.
yes.
And
I
that's
mean, I
kind of
guess,
the
yes.
I was gonna say that's
No,
kind of how radio stations work too. You match frequencies, you turn it
yeah,
to 92.3, and then it matches the frequency in the air of the radio signal, and just that's how you get the music coming out of it. And the Earth has its own resonant frequency, which is the Schumann
yes.
resonance. Yeah.
Which is my favorite, of course, which we never got to discuss the first time. Which, by the way, this is really surreal. I had you on, God. How long after you wrote the ghost studies did you?
Oh.
I was weirded out. I mean, I was just. It was the first time, yeah, that it was
Yeah. I
one of the chats I did in my short series. How long after you wrote that was? I mean, I don't even remember how we became friends or who
y-
sent who a request. I just know you caught my review of your book somehow.
Yeah, the book came out in 2017. I don't actually remember when we did the podcast, but it's been a long time. I know that.
I know, it's so weird, it's surreal. But
Yeah.
now I get to ask you the questions that I never got to ask. And I guess, I mean, the Schumann resonances was one. I mean, I think that's a fantastic concept. And I guess that would link into another question that I actually had written down. Um what oh good Lord. Should we drop the para prefix with the paranormal? I mean, this is all natural frequency as a natural thing. Should it just be normal? I mean, that was one that I asked you years ago. Years ago, remember? That was one of the first questions I asked you because I read it in,
Should we drop
oh,
the pair? I
the para prefix.
Yeah, I got you.
Because
I,
this is, I mean, even Sheldrake, you've read his stuff. He makes it seem normal.
yeah,
Just,
I, I don't. I think for maybe 25% of the world that would be fine. I think
yeah.
the other 75% would be like, what the heck's going on? Um,
Yes.
I like, part of me likes the paranormal part of it, because it's now there are a lot of things that it's, I don't want to say you can't explain it to some degree, because sometimes there's ways to explain it, whether it's
Yes.
natural things or whatever.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there is a lot of hypotheses and theory, or hypotheses, not so much theories, but hypotheses about what's going on with ghosts and psi and telepathy and
Yes.
near-death experiences and all
And
that
just,
stuff. So I kind of like that. I do like the word paranormal. I like parapsychology.
I like that too. I do like the term and like
Yeah,
parapsychology. family or parafriends or whatever. I mean, it's a handy prefix, I guess. But
Yeah, for me,
it's about the normal because not everyone experiences. I mean,
yeah.
you know,
And it's kind of nostalgic for me too, because when I think paranormal, I
yes,
think of all these
yes,
like
yes,
things like ghosts. For me, ghosts come to mind because that's my number one thing.
yes.
But
And Ghostbusters, of course,
mysterious, yeah,
Ghostbusters, and
mysteriousness.
yes,
So
that's your
I
favorite,
kind of
one of your favorites. I can see Slimer in the
yeah,
background there.
yeah, over here and over here, yeah.
Yes,
So I kind of like that. I think a lot of times people will say different things. Like you can say paranormal experience, you can say anomalous event, you can say ghostly
yes,
phenomenon.
yes,
There's different ways to say it. I
yes,
think when you're talking to, I always try to say, well, how would I explain it to like a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old?
yes.
And the word paranormal is sort of universal. So I enjoy it. I think yeah, also when you get into like academics and you're writing papers and you're doing these types of things, you have to be a little bit more long-winded, eloquent, maybe.
I
Um,
like that though. I like that.
so
I mean, I've read your stuff. It pops up on academia all the time.
yeah, but it's when you write that stuff, I think sometimes you exclude an audience who gets overwhelmed very easily with some of the terms that are in there, right? Um, and I always hate that part of it. But then the other part of it is, you know, how you describe something is super important and things like that. So the wording is very important as well.
Yeah.
So I like paranormal. I like all that good stuff. I still use ghosts. I know some
Yes.
people call different things. So
I don't even mind the term ghost hunters anymore.
yeah,
Ghost hunting
I don't care.
because
Yeah.
of Steve's book. It really is an art form. And that was what I was going to ask. I mean, about firstly, unexplained experiences. I mean, we covered the neighborhood stray cat years ago, and I won't cover that again because I'll start crying
Mm,
because I have a soft spot for cats. But
yeah.
did you have anything happen because you ran sort of tour experiments slash things in the Edinburgh Vaults, didn't you?
It
Did
was
you have
actually
anything
Mary
for
King's
you
Ghost.
personally or anything else unexplained that's
Um,
happened anywhere? Because it's been years now, so
yeah, I did. I actually had a paranormal experience, a ghostly encounter, I guess. I was doing research for a book here on just local stories here in Ohio,
Medina
and
County, you live is that
Medina,
like
yeah.
sorry, yeah.
I don't even remember the name of it. Medina County Hauntings or Haunted Medina County. Sorry.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so with that is I went to the different locations here in the city and the county, and I would go to the different places, talk to the people that work there, and then I would walk around, take pictures, and then write a little story about it. It's actually was really fun. I didn't get bogged down with a lot of that academic stuff, which made the
Yeah,
writing so much like easier and it flowed a little better.
yeah.
So
It's
but
nice and in a
yeah, but
relaxed.
anyway, I was walking through one of the houses, and the house itself was I can't remember when it was built. I think it was the mid 1800s, maybe the late 1800s. And there
Lovely.
was reports of ghosts throughout. In the basement, there was supposedly a female ghost who, in the past, when previous people had lived there, when you were walking up the basement steps, supposedly it would like grab the back and pull you down. Um, yeah, and then there was another ghost that was on the first floor in the parlor area. Um, and a woman woke up one night and she felt like almost like she was in a trance. So she felt compelled to walk down the steps and then play the piano, right? Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
overwhelming urge, walked down the steps, started playing the piano. And as she was playing the piano, to the left, I believe, an apparition of an old man with a white beard appeared in one of the chairs, and she said she just kept playing, and he was watching, and then he just disappeared. Um, and then, but it was one of those great experiences where she wasn't scared. She actually was
Yeah.
filled with like happiness and love and sort of
I
those
love
positive
it.
emotions. So that
I
was
love
yeah, and so I was in the basement there taking pictures, and I was going through a doorway. The basement had different sections, and as I was walking through the doorway, I heard a female voice in my ear say, "Hello," and it was a whisper. So not only did I hear it, but I also felt it, like someone's whispering in your ear. You know the breath you get if someone's really close and they whisper.
Yeah.
So I had the auditory and the tactile with it as well. So I don't know.
Wonderful. I love that. I mean, I love the things that you can't explain in a way. It keeps you curious, keeps you going in a way, I think.
Exactly,
Because, I
100%.
mean, we'll never find all the answers or not enough to satisfy everybody. So it keeps us going in a way, I guess.
Exactly. And, at the time, I was like, well, what do I do now? It's like, I had
I say thank you. I just say thanks,
okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I didn't think about that.
except when they hid my phone. I wasn't big on that, but I found it eventually.
Oh, well, yeah. No, they didn't do anything like that. But I guess that's a good thing to do, like thank them. But at the
Yeah,
time, I think my brain kind of goes, and maybe I don't
you
know.
just you're
It
just sort
goes,
of stunned in a way. It's just wow.
yeah. It kind of goes in two main directions: was this real, or is there something to explain what just happened? So my
Yeah,
brain automatically flipped a switch and was trying to like debunk it in a way. It's like, oh, maybe it was
yeah,
this, maybe it was that, maybe it was that, and
yeah. I
um,
guess.
I don't know why it did that. It was odd that it would just switch into that gear.
Well,
But
I
I
guess
walked around for a little bit and took more pictures.
because you're trained in parapsychology, and but there is a human factor. So I don't know. I
I
do
don't
that too.
know.
So
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Even
And
with weird stuff that happens, I go, no, I must have left it somewhere else. They can't have hidden it. But then, yeah, they
huh,
have, and yeah, so
I,
stuff happens. Just stuff just
yeah,
happens. You
I think you're.
automatically switch to that.
I think you're right, though. I think like we need to just lean into the enchanting things in our lives
Yeah,
and
I
not,
love.
yeah, not try to automatically push it away or discount it.
Yeah,
I think for me, like leaning into it for a little bit would have been great, enjoying the experience, and then maybe whenever 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, whatever, try to do the sort of what could have been anything else type thinking. Um, but overall, I think it's been for me, it's been I use the word enchanting again. It's been an enchanting experience, and it's something I've actually carried with me. I think about it most. I wouldn't say most days, but more days
yeah.
than I'd like to. I think because it'll just
Well,
pop in there. You know.
something that stays with you. I mean, I like that sort of stuff as well. I've got a few of those sort of memories.
Yeah, yeah.
Mostly whatever lives here hiding stuff, and yes, the
Oh, you
yeah,
got. Oh, you got like
and the pinch on the butt at Castlemaine Jail. I mean, that was weird, but took it as a compliment. Whatever.
a. Well, I haven't had that happen. So, but there's still time.
Well, maybe someday.
Yeah, there's still time. I could still hope.
And I was going to say now, with parapsychology, what got you interested in that as opposed to being an investigator? Like you've conducted field work and stuff, but haven't you? What got you interested in that as opposed to just your general, run of the mill stuff?
Yeah, well, when I was really young, I don't know what's really young, right? Maybe 15, 16, I started reading books about parapsychology. Um,
Yes, I got the first one that yes,
yes,
parapsychology.
yes,
Yes, the
yes.
Belloff.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Controversial Science, I think it was. I had that on my
Yes.
bookshelf. Yep. So
I've got
that's,
it here. Parapsychology. Is it Belloff? Parapsychology, a
yep.
course history? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. So I just got that from the library and started reading it. And at 15, you don't really grasp everything that's going on in there.
Yeah.
But you get the highlights, like the keywords, like we talked about with ghosts and paranormal and ESP and psychokinesis and poltergeists and that stuff was just fascinating because obviously, I mean, you can tell I was a big Ghostbusters fan as a kid. I had I ran around with the toy packs and that was just who I was. But that went away for 6, 7 years as I became a teenager. But that always fascinated me. So then I just kept going with that, and then I read more books, and then I eventually went into college, undergrad for psychology, and then I got my my master's degree in counseling, and then I did that for a couple of years, but I still always had that urge to learn more about parapsychology, and that's when I went to University of Edinburgh to study parapsychology for an
That
MSc.
is the parapsychology unit there at the
Yeah,
university.
the Koestler
Because
parapsychology unit. Yeah, and when I was there, that's when I did. Like you could specialize in it was a MSc in psychological research methods, and then you can specialize in what you wanted to. And I specialized in parapsychology. There's other people there that I don't remember. I know neuro was one. I can't remember the other tracks that were there, but you basically learned about conducting psychological research. So, what is an experiment? How do you set one up? How do you do the statistics for it?
experiments, love them.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really what the course was on. So it wasn't as if we sat in a we it wasn't all year. We just sat and talked about parapsychology. You learned about all all that other statistical stuff that more or less, and then you had one or two classes, and then your final dissertation was on. You picked the topic, and mine was the environmental sensitivity and paranormal experiences. That's where I took the people through Mary King's Close. And 262 people toured Mary King's Close, and then they had checklists, and then we did like statistical analysis on all kinds of stuff when they went through there.
I was actually going to ask about that because you've taken people around places and things. Now, what sort of experiments or what would you do when you're taking people around, as opposed to being an investigator? As a parapsychologist, what would you do that would be different? What sort of experiments do you do? Because I mean, of course, what would you consider doing? I guess that's the general track I'm going on.
It's a little different because it depends on how you kind of when you look at things. So there's that qualitative research, and then there's that quantitative research. Quantitative is all numbers. Qualitative is more like case studies and analyzing interviews and words and things like that. So I think parapsychology mostly does probably majority of the quantitative stuff. So when you do experiments like that, what you did was you took people around. For this one I did, people showed up, and it was a tour. It was a haunted location. So Mary King's Close is it's like an underground city in Edinburgh, Scotland. So people would live, usually I think lower socioeconomic people would live sort of underground. They had like apartments down there. They had shops down there. Supposedly they walled people up there during the plague. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but basically it's an underground city that's really haunted. So it's a tourist attraction nowadays, has been for a long time. So what happens is we would take a group of people, and I can't remember how many were in the group, like 10 or so. And then we ran, I want to say 5 or 6 groups. So maybe 50 or so people. And we did that for 2 or 3 days. So what would happen is they would show up, they would get a questionnaire. On the questionnaire would be some demographic information, a little bit about their history, had they had previous paranormal experiences. And then there were some questions that kind of categorize people, whether they were really sensitive to the environment or not so much sensitive. So basically, we got a lot of information about them, and then we sent them through. And as they went through, they had a checklist with them. It said like room 1. And if they had an experience in room 1, they would check it, right? Check. Yes. So afterwards, for every person that came through, we had a questionnaire about sort of their past, their demographics, and then whether they were sensitive to the environment or they believe they were sensitive to the environment or not. And then we just did the statistics on it. So I think the results of that, people who were considered environmentally sensitive, and this isn't sensitive like psychic sensitivity. This is sensitive as if like lights,
Like
allergies.
fibromyalgia or that sort of thing,
Yep,
because you wrote about.
fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, just the
Yes.
environment just
Yes.
causes sort of physical disruptions for them. They found that I think they were three times as likely to have a paranormal experiences in the past, and those who went through Mary King's Close, I think they were almost three times more likely to have an experience when they were in the haunted location as well. So what you're doing for this is you're trying to identify, why are some people having numerous encounters and why are other people having none, right?
What are the different
What,
factors?
yep, what are the differences? So we weren't
Yes.
necessarily looking for ghosts like you would on a paranormal investigation as a ghost hunter. We were just
Yes.
looking at the differences. And once you find differences, then you find a population that has more encounters. And if they
Yeah.
have more encounters, then you could pop them into like a location. And then
Yeah.
if they do have an encounter, you can check it off, or you can do environmental data. So I don't know if EMFs go really, really high and at 1 o'clock a.m. and this person has an experience at 1 o'clock a.m., then you just sort of correlate the two and go from there. But
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff, it's basically statistics differences,
Statistics.
categorizing people, that type of thing.
Yeah. Did there anyone of your groups, did anyone there have anything that turned out that you couldn't explain it, that that may have been actually a true paranormal occurrence
Well,
or
see, the thing is, I didn't get much.
exceptional
I would get
thing?
their checklist back, and on their checklist, it would just tell me how many experiences they had. So, of the 262 people that went through the Mary King's Close, there was, I think, a total of 601 experiences. So, people were having multiple experiences in this location, and
Mm.
they would check off what room they had it, which experience they had, and sometimes they would write as well, like saw a child ghost, the child ghost pushed me, or something like that.
Mm.
So there was a lot of experiences. Could you imagine like 601 experiences?
So
Um,
there are quite a few that matched up in the same sort of areas or same
yeah,
sort of people
which
perceive the same sort of thing in the same sort of place.
we weren't looking specifically at that, but the data could have said that. So I could have told you which room was the most haunted, and I could have told you the most.
Yeah.
What we did do is we looked at the number of the types of haunt type phenomenon, so I knew which, like obviously seeing a ghost, a visual apparition, isn't as common as a sense of a presence, which is
Yeah.
really common, right? So majority of people had sense of presence. I think change in temperature, those types of things. Visual apparitions was actually really low on the list. Auditory stuff was really low. So the stuff on TV is not the stuff that most people actually report. But 602 experiences, that's a lot. And then you can take the data and kind of figure out what's going on with it. Looking back at it, there's so much stuff we could have pulled. I still have the data in my computer, so I can still use it. But I think ghost hunters in general, when they go in, it's more of a case analysis of what's going on, like field work. But you mentioned Steve Parsons, like his whole book is, the field work. How do you do that? How do you go in with your team and kind of
And
gather
how to
information?
properly the right way sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah, but I think that you can get a lot, like ghost hunters, they could still do questionnaires and surveys and
yes,
um,
I love those. I did one at
yeah.
Castle Jail.
And if you
Yeah.
go to 100 locations in let's say in 5 years your team goes to 100 locations, and you jot stuff down or you categorize stuff or you put stuff in Excel, and you can gather a lot of information about haunted locations. So
Mm.
what's the difference? Why is this place haunted and this one not?
Yeah.
I think
Why
that
yeah.
you could get stuff like that and see patterns, and then sometimes the patterns lead to hypotheses, and sometimes that can lead to more in-depth stuff as well. Um, I'm not really a gadget guy. I'm not really the infrasound, EMF,
Yeah.
that type of thing. I'm more of a psychology type person.
Yeah.
So
The human
when I do
factor.
these types of things, what I like to do is we're working on a project right now, and I have I gave a survey to, I think, 200 some people, or a questionnaire, not a survey.
You told
200.
me about that archaeologist and somebody else. So ages ago, you were working with an archaeologist or an anthropologist or something
I don't
on
remember.
some. And you worked with Dave Schumacher. I know that.
Oh yeah. That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah. So
Oh, hey,
yeah,
sorry.
so you gather. We sent out a questionnaire to like 262 people who visited this haunted location, and we got so much data back. And then like Dave Schumacher and Shane Feek, they did a lot of the gadget stuff. So you have the the emotional components, the personality traits components, and then you have the environmental components. And I think as we look at where it's going with ghosts nowadays, it's not just it's bi-directional. So it's not just right person in the right setting. It's more, or it's not just you know what I'm saying? It's not just I walk in and experience a ghost. I contribute to that somehow as well, which is why some people have numerous experiences and other people have none. It's bi-directional. So there's something going on with that person as well as something in the environment.
There has to be that sort of duality with it. We have to consider both sides of sort of a balanced thing.
And I think there has to be a certain sort of like mindset is one thing, a certain combination of emotions and mindsets and perspectives, and whether you're semi open to the possibility. There's all kinds of these factors that really play into whether you have an experience.
Yes, like the sheep goat effect, that can.
Yeah, but that's true for sort of ghosts as well, I believe. Yes. I think that there's certain personality types that have more experiences, neurobiological types like environmental sensitivity. So that's the fascinating part to me.
What sort of other personality traits would you consider to be a factor in it, though? Like creativity, curiosity.
There's
what sort of personality? Other traits other than.
Well, the main ones now is transliminality. I don't know if have you ever read about transliminality?
Ages ago. I haven't had time to do much reading lately, other than research for articles and stuff. But explain because you're really good at explaining stuff. So I'll let you handle that one though. Because anyways, I should shut up and stop talking sometimes.
Transliminality it's been around for a long time.
Yes.
James Horan is the one who nowadays is usually the person who does the most with transliminality, but it's basically like a personality trait, and it's generally kind of like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but there's what they call a transliminality scale, and what happens is people fill this out. And if they fill it out a certain way, they're considered either highly transliminal or obviously low transliminality. Those people who are highly transliminal tend to have way more ghostly experiences. And it's kind of a mixture of, you mentioned art, creativity, sensitivity. It mixes a little bit of that sensitivity to the environment into there. Imagination is really high. They get sort of engulfed in music. There's all kinds of these different things that go with it. I off the top of my head, I probably won't do a good job explaining it, but there's a lot of work out there on it. I mean, I'm talking probably 20 years worth, if not more. It might be more than that, 30 years. But
no, you did a good job of explaining it because I'm still froggy, and it's your show, so I should shut up and not babble so much anyway. But
I think that as if your audience is mainly ghost hunters, I would really encourage them to look into like transliminality, environmental sensitivity. There's a lot of research. You mentioned Steve Parsons as well. He has a lot of research on infrasound and EMFs and all that good stuff as well, which is all pertinent to going out and hanging out in the haunted location, right? if you got the equipment, if you got the things to beep, it's good to know what they do. If that's your thing, so it's not everyone's thing.
I like them for experiments and, the occasional WTF moment. But aside from that,
Yeah.
they're not necessarily talking to anything except wires, basically.
I tell you, sometimes it's tough. I went on a recent ghost hunt with I think it was for fun. I can't remember when that was. Maybe it wasn't that recent. Actually, maybe it was January. And so they had the ghost box thing. And I don't know if you've ever been when a ghost box goes off. It's so loud. It's so loud. It's just
Yes. And then you get this burst of brief sort of whatever.
Yeah. I remember walking away and my brain was so like overstimulated because it was so loud. And then they let me do the Estes method. I'm going to say it wrong.
Yeah, I think that was, it's again filled with an SB7 one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Estes where you put the blindfold on and then you have the mug, that thing on.
I did one with headphones and a spirit box and someone else asking questions, and I like experiments of that sort. But there's the occasional WTF moment, I guess. But aside from that, we're not always sure that they could be talking to anything. But of course, I mean, you've had stuff happen. I've had stuff happen. I mean, stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I
don't for centuries, millennia.
I don't. I usually am very straightforward that I am. I do believe, whether it's a ghost or consciousness or something psi-like is happening, I do believe sort of that paranormal, supernatural stuff that's out there. I don't discount that, or my whole goal is not to debunk that or crap like that.
Well, I mean, I've had too much happen to even attempt to. And I mean, maybe a ghost is just a surviving personality. Maybe there is something there, but we don't know what it is. That just is it organic? I don't have the right words. It's just
it's so it's so challenging.
It's a beautiful mystery, I think.
Yeah, because I've always you have an idea what a ghost is. And then you start reading more, and then your brain goes, "Oh, maybe it's this." And then you read some more, and you go, "No, it's not that. It's probably this." And then it kind of goes back and forth and up and down and left and right. So one day I think it's this, another day I think it's that, another day I don't think they exist. So I think that's sort of that. It's not really a linear thing with ghosts. It's just like up and down and left, and then you find a research article or a book from the 1800s, and you go, man, this person really, I like this. This is great. And then you got to go, well, that contradicts everything that this other was. I'm just, oh my God.
I sort of love that, because you have to consider, just go on both tracks. And I mean, sometimes I have days too where it's like, nah, that can't have happened. But then you stop and think, no, it actually did. I did get pinched on the butt.
Yeah.
And I did get a door held closed against me, and I did get other stuff happen too. So you stop and you get reminded of that, and you think, well, yes, stuff does happen. So yeah.
We talked about before, lean into the enchanted, right?
Exactly. I love that term. I love that phrase, actually.
I often wonder, and sometimes I'll ask patients or people this too. I'll be like, if you're just walking in the woods, it's a walk you've taken numerous times in your life. All right. Beautiful day, nice scenery. It's the sun's out. It's not gloomy or spooky or anything like that. It's an area that you're pretty familiar with. You've been through it numerous times, and you're walking through these woods, and you come across just a random door in the middle of it, right? You know what I'm saying? You ever see those doors in the woods? You see pictures of them sometimes, like a Narnia type thing. Yeah, I know Narnia is a closet, but literally that random just door that's in the middle of the woods that shouldn't be there. And I often ask people, it's like, would you walk up to the door and go through it?
Hell yes.
Okay, so you would. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think there's two types of people, though. Some people would not. I would. Yeah. I would.
Hmm.
But part of me would be hesitant though, because there's just a random door that just appeared out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd take a little peek inside first and make sure
Well,
there was.
there's no peeking. Once you turn that door handle, that's your
Well, you
choice.
got to make sure there's a floor at least. I don't know.
Well, I'm just talking like a random door in the middle of the
Yeah.
woods. No house, just a
You know,
door.
I think I still would. I think I still would.
Okay.
Because it's got to be there for a reason. It can't. I don't know. Not everything is there to trap you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. It's like if a just a random door appeared out of nowhere in your backyard or something, what do you do? You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's that part of us that we go through our normal day-to-day mundane lives, and when we're presented with something that's outside the ordinary or extraordinary, um, I think sometimes we don't lean into it and we run away from it more or less, and we try to rationalize it and say, well, like with my ghostly experience, well, maybe I just I
Maybe this
misinterpreted
happened.
this, or someone was upstairs, and I heard the person upstairs right at the moment when a gust of wind hit my ear. You know, I got these like probabilities and all this other stuff, and I'm trying to just run away from that magical door in the woods. You know, I'm just like, it can't. That magical door in the woods can't be there, so I'm going to turn around and run the other way. When if I actually just open the magical door in the woods and walk through it, maybe
Mm,
it'll change my perspective of life and
mm,
everything, you know. But I feel as if even when I personally speaking, when I was growing up, um, I was probably would consider myself a skeptic majority through college. I would run away from that door and I would say, there's 100 reasons why that's not a magical door, you know.
mm.
And now I think I would run towards the magical door because I that enchantment part of it, that stepping outside the mundane, it's not as
Mm.
scary as it once was when you were in that box of how you viewed the world. Um,
Yeah,
you know, it's like synchronicity is one of those things that's been popular since.
I love that.
Yeah, the what's the name of that documentary? Oh, Hellier. Hellier was the name of the documentary.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so it's been popular since then,
Years
and
ago. Years
I
ago.
think for them, what they did was they just followed these sort of trails, right? And it led them to whatever it led them to. And it was an experience for them. Was it a paranormal experience? I don't know. It was some sort of connection that they had, which was very meaningful for them. So
Mm.
that's kind of how I, you know, sometimes we can logic ourselves out of stuff, and then we miss the important
Yeah.
things that are out there. Um, so I've tried to take that into consideration. So if you find a magical door in the woods, I'm not saying you have to go towards it, but you know, at least give it a
Well, it
second
might be
thought.
something really cool. No, that's it might lead to spiders, but who knows?
But
That's
it could lead to another world. It could be like Narnia, where you open the cupboard and you're in a world with talking lions, and
I used to love that book series, so why not? You know.
that's
But
what
I
it
mean,
was, though, right? They walked through the cupboard and they were in another world. Is that right? Okay,
yeah, the one, yeah,
okay. I
yeah.
thought I was right.
I love that series and the magical faraway tree as well. I mean, I was one of those kids, and yeah, it was really good. Good Lord,
Well,
Jesus! I,
there was a movie. What was the name of that movie? I don't know. When I was a kid, Fred Savage was in it. I think it was Monsters Under the Bed. Was that what it was? I don't remember.
uh,
Oh,
uh,
I don't know. It was a long time ago. But it's kind of like Monsters Incorporated, where you open the closet
yes, I've
and then
heard
you
of that.
go
He
in.
was a tiny boy then. Yes.
Yeah, you go into like a different world when you open the closet at a certain time.
Yeah.
No, it was House. It was a movie in the '80s called House.
Oh,
So the
House!
whole
I saw that too.
yeah, it was, but you
The
know,
writer, the
at
writer.
midnight,
Yes, so yes.
when he
And then
opened the closet,
he
the
came out of the
spirits were
wardrobe.
yeah. So yeah, if
I've
no
still
one's
got
ever
that in
seen,
my drive, actually.
yeah, there's a
Along,
couple. There's House 2, I think House 3 and
yes,
House 4.
yeah. House 2 and 3 weren't great. I've got Ghoulies still as well.
Mhm. So
Ghoulies, I've still got Ghoulies.
if anyone likes like haunted house movies, those are kind of those cheeky '80s movies. But the first
Cheesy.
one, if you went into the closet right at midnight, or no, right at midnight, like a creature tried to jump out of the closet, and then he would sit there and wait, and then open the door, and it was it was a neat experience.
I watched that as a kid. I didn't find it scary. Well, you had the jump scare at first, but then it was just, wow, that's pretty cool. This is
Yes,
impressive.
it's more humorous nowadays
It is.
than
It is.
scary. But
And
that's
Ghostbusters, I saw that as a kid too at the drive-in movie place. So yeah, it was great. Holy crap, we've been 50 minutes already, and I haven't even gotten through. Got so many damn questions still. Good Lord, no. What else? So what actually, there was something I was gonna ask that might be weird, but I don't know. I was thinking about something like, well, I don't know. Is anything
I
weird?
was
I
just say
don't know.
it's all weird.
Yeah, well, it is all weird. I was thinking the other day about a documentary that I watched years ago about superhumans, and it had a bit on idiot savants.
Hmm.
Like Kim Peek, the Rain Man guy,
Oh,
who
okay.
can know the date from the past and the weather from the past
Yeah.
for just about every day on the calendar that you're giving me. He knows sporting results and
Hmm.
everything. Is there some sort of tuning in going on there, do you think? I wrote about that ages ago, and it just struck me then, actually. Actually, it struck me when I was writing your questions out because I just watched a little bit of the documentary.
I don't know. I actually don't know enough about that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know like the science behind I'm sure they've scanned their brains and done all that fun
Yeah.
stuff.
How do they do it? I mean, some of them can't tie their shoes. Is there extra wiring going elsewhere? How does it may not be paranormal, but it's bloody fascinating. It's
Yeah,
just
I'm guessing
how
it's
they
probably not. I'm guessing they have some sort of reason for it or explanation for it.
Mm,
But I don't know what it is. Maybe
yeah.
I think sometimes you know when you watch documentaries like that, you kind of lean towards our brains are all wired the same, but in actuality they're
Mm.
not. You know,
No, no,
yeah.
not at all. Oh, good Lord.
Because some people can do math in their head really well. Other people, when the word
Not
math
me.
comes up, their brain just
Yeah,
out their
yeah,
ears, right?
yeah, that's yours truly.
Yeah, and that's not something learned, I
Stats
think.
and mention stats, and my brain sort of goes, it has a sort of a temporary blank kind of
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah, but
yeah, exactly. I think um, the connections and wiring and what we grasp and don't grasp, who knows?
and then
Um,
there's guys that remember math, statistics, and yeah, the weather and everything. And it's just weird. It's just a weird. I wonder about a lot of random stuff, I guess, but it's just weird. And Jesus, now Medina County. Can we talk about that because I had that on the list? What drew you there in the first place? Was it the history? Was it the scenery? Was it the housing, the architecture?
I just live here.
Do you have family there?
No, no. It's Ohio. It's a rural part of Ohio. So we
Yes.
used to live in kind of by the city where Cleveland. We lived a little bit by Cleveland for a while, and then
Yes.
we just wanted a place with more land. So we got a house here with
Lovely.
a pond and like 4 acres.
Yes.
So we just moved here. I think actually I can't remember 13 years ago, something like that. And
Wow.
so we've been living here 13 years, and so I wasn't born and raised here in Medina County.
Yes.
But what happened was, and it's weird how sometimes books are really started or how they're worked on. So I had no desire to write like a ghost story book.
Yeah. That I've got to admit that was sort of that was something
It's
unexpected from you, but it's cool.
Yeah, it
Like
totally was.
history
So
and yeah.
I thought because I'm not the guy that writes about haunted locations. I don't have like a list of all the haunted locations in the world. But they reached out to me. They must have found me through social media, and they have a series of books. Like they have haunted Medina County, they have like haunted Cleveland, haunted San Jose, haunted every city in or every county in the States kind of has a haunted book associated with it. Haunted Salem, Massachusetts, and this is the company that does it. So they reached out to me and said, "Would you be interested in it?" And originally, I told them no, I didn't really want to do it. And then I think he reached back out, and I said yes. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm in the town. It'd be a great way to walk up to people and start talking about ghost stories, and just learn a little bit about the history too. Because these books, they're the Haunted America series. Most of them they want them really to be more history than ghost stories. And you have to rely on not just people's personal encounters, but you have to rely on newspaper articles,
research
and research on it. So it's not just sit down, Uncle Joe, and he tells you a story about a place and then you put it in a book. There is a little bit of research behind it, which I thought was really great too. So there's the history, and then you mix it with the ghost story, and then people learn about the local buildings and locations throughout Medina County or whatever city they're in. So
how many does your book cover, location wise?
Medina County, I think there's 13 or 14 locations in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tried to stay away from cemeteries. There's one cemetery here that I couldn't stay away from because of the numerous legends and stuff, but I tried to stick to houses, restaurants, businesses, things like that. So it was really great. And I got to meet a lot of new fun people here. And now every time Halloween comes around, I get asked to do presentations.
Bombarded with calls yeah.
So, but I like that. It's not a bad thing. Literally in October, I work a lot doing that. Outside of that, no one really seems to remember.
Well, you do public speaking now and stuff. That you've done events at is it the Black Cat Bookshop?
Yeah. So there's a bookshop locally that I do there, and I used to go for, here in America we have a lot of those conferences, those Paracons. You probably see it all the time on Facebook. They're all every week.
I want to go to one. I do want to go to one.
There's a Paracon every week somewhere. So I usually do about one of those a year, one or two. If I know the person, usually they'll reach out and ask me to do that. But I don't do a lot of those. Mainly my public speaking is in October about the ghosts of Medina County, which I kind of like. I'm not a big guy that travels around a lot.
Yeah. Well, you didn't do that when I first started speaking to you. I don't think you hadn't done any of that sort of thing yet. And
when the ghost studies came out, the publisher wasn't like, you need to get out and do stuff, but they encouraged it, and they kind of tracked it a little bit, and they put a lot of resources into me in the book, so I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. So they put me on a lot of, at that time it was podcasts or radio. There wasn't a lot of like face-to-face Zoomy stuff. But so I did a lot of those, and I went to a lot of speaking engagements. But those Paracons it's feast or famine. Sometimes you can go to a Paracon and there's 4 people in the audience. Sometimes you can go there and there's like 100 people in the audience. You just don't know what you're walking into. So there's unpredictability with it. So I remember early on, I'd give a presentation for 3 people, and I thought, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. It was like, I think the first Paracon I went to, I don't know what happened, but nobody showed up to the Paracon. Like, I don't know, it was like 30 people may have come through in the 6 hours I was there. I don't know what the heck happened, but I was like, oh my God, if this is what Paracon's on, I can't keep doing this. But I already had like 3 or 4 booked. But some of them are really, really good. Some of them are really, really sporadic. Which even though you go, you could still meet people there. That's the fun part.
Yeah, and networking, linking up with different people. I mean, how did you even meet Dave? Dave, how did you meet Dave?
I think he invited me on a show like this.
On ESPSI side chats.
Yeah. And I met him there, and then just stayed in touch with him. And
I can't even remember how I met Dave.
Yeah, that's the thing. You kind of all these shows and stuff. Like he's on Three Tortured Souls, which I think is a really good
Yes.
show for those who haven't watched that.
Yes.
You had them on here, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I was going to say that because reading, watching, what's on your list currently? Because we're 59 minutes already.
Hmm?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
What I'm reading and watching. I'm reading a lot on I know you usually have people bring books in, so I'm surrounded by them here.
Well, hold them up if you like.
Egregores.
Okay.
Been reading a lot about them. Egregores are like occult, esoteric topics. It's kind of like a collective entity. A group of people get together. You think of the Philip experiment. A group of people get together and almost create an entity, which is another thing I'm reading here. The Conjuring. Yeah.
So is it a fiction or non-fiction? So I've got Barky's here.
Conjuring of Philip.
That one or the other one?
Yeah. Oh, Egregores? No, it's nonfiction.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole book about that. And then I got
damn cough.
What else do I got here? Oh, I'll give this a plug too. Women of the Paranormal. I don't know if you ever read that one.
Alex Massulo. No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, it's good. It's got Eleanor Sedgwick in it. It's got Annie Besant, who did Thought Forms, if people know that. Numerous other women of the Catherine Crowe's in here, obviously. Yes. Swimming Where Mad Men Drowned. It's a psychologist wrote this. A lot of good stuff in there. And then I've got numerous other ones here.
And do you get into podcasts as well?
I don't.
I've heard a lot about Uncanny. Haven't watched it yet.
I listened to
other stuff, or listen to, or
I listened to Uncanny once or twice on a drive when I was going long distances. And I thought it was really well made. I thought they did a really great job with it. But I haven't listened to the new stuff, unfortunately. I do listen to Astonishing Legends quite a bit. I like their podcast. And then I do like a hodgepodge of stuff as well. So if I'm working out, I work out, I do like a treadmill, try to do that 5 days a week. I'll just put on a random podcast. So they had the Nancy, oh my gosh, Zingrone. What's her name?
Nan. Yes, I like.
Yes, she had that series where she has people come in and do presentations. I can't remember the name of it.
No.
Anyway, I usually put on YouTube, like Parapsychology Foundation YouTube, and I'll just watch like a presentation of the PA conference or something like that. So I'm kind of boring. I don't do like podcasts, and very rarely do I do them.
I guess because we're a little over time. Reference resources. Where, like, what would be on your list of go-to places if people want to learn about parapsychology? And we've got to get into where they can find you, and one those first. I babble. Sorry.
Resources. You mention them all the time on your show. You mentioned.
Well, I mean, a lot have different. Yeah, you have.
I have the same ones you do. The Journal of Society for Psychical Research. ASSAP is another one.
I mean, we can't drill these in enough to people anyways.
Yeah, I think it's, Parapsychological Association is another one.
Yes.
But Google, if you're interested in that stuff, sometimes just go into Google Scholar too. Just Google Scholar and you type in what you're looking for, and you can pull up all kinds of great articles. And sometimes access is limited, so you might not have access to all the journal articles. But you can still get some for free.
Of course, is good too. Good. Look, speaking of other, let's see. We'll go on to where they can find you. But I've got to ask: was it you or someone else? The new Ghostbusters movie coming out.
Yep.
Someone posted something about, are they going to kill Venkman?
Yeah,
I've got to ask. I know it's
I got super
we're
nervous.
winding up.
I saw
We're
the trailer.
we've,
I saw the
we've got to
trailer
wrap
and I
up
got
anyway.
nervous. Yeah, I get
Yes.
super nervous when they put out the new trailer because the new trailer looks really scary, and it looks like
It looks good.
it looks like people are dying almost, but looks like the ghost or whatever the entity comes into the firehouse and it gets somebody.
Yeah.
I was pretty nervous about that.
I don't really want to think about that at the moment.
There's always been rumors that Bill Murray has wanted to die and come back as a ghost, like in the series. Yeah, no, more like a humorous type thing where he kind of Venkman kills off, but he comes back as a ghost and is probably the same sarcastic type person. And messes with them. So I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Same in death as in life, sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, the first one, when was it Spengler who came back, and that made me cry a bit.
Yeah, that was pretty emotional.
I'm a master.
Yeah, the Ghostbuster stuff is the first movie is really the one that I sort of latch onto, but I thought I even like the second one, and the Afterlife one was good. The all-female one had good aspects to it too. So.
Now, what are you working on currently? And then we'll have to go to where we can find you, and I've got to let you do stuff.
You can find me at hauntedtheories.com, and Facebook is Haunted Theories, and X is Twitter.
Academia as well.
Yeah, if you go on Academia, you can find me there. And it'll once you find me on Academia, it'll give you all the research articles that I've helped co-author. I actually have one on enchantment, Frontiers of Psychology, Cornell Quarterly, and Journal of Society for Psychical Research. I'm working on a couple other ones right now.
I was going to ask, what are you working on currently? Yes.
There's some research articles that I'm helping. I usually co-author. I'm not the guy or the girl who goes full go into it, like lead author type stuff. I help out with bits and pieces of it. So I'm working on a couple right now. We're not even halfway through them, so I don't want to go through them that much, but some poltergeisty type stuff, and some Gestalt influences, which are has to do with haunted houses or haunted locations. So hopefully those will be out. I don't even know how long. It's like when you co-author or help these people with their articles, peer-reviewed articles, you don't really know how quickly they're going to come out or what's going to happen, because there's a bit of a process with the peer review part. You go back and forth a little bit, and then the journal article itself. Sometimes articles there's publications that come out quickly, other ones are quarterly, other ones, you know what I'm saying, so you just never know. Some just get published online, you never know what's going on.
And you're going to work on another book, I guess. Are you working on another
book? It's been working on a book with you mentioned Dave. The ghost studies took me 5 years to write, 5 or 6 years to write, so I don't move fast. That's a lot.
Tell Babel about that book.
So we went to a haunted location. We did, like I said, a bunch of stuff. We did the questionnaires and the environmental things, and we're just trying to see if we can come up with just some of our thoughts about what's going on at this location and kind of what makes it special more than anything else. Like, why does this place have so many ghostly encounters? The questionnaire we gave, I think it was 260 some people took it. 92% of people had a paranormal experience who walked through the doors. That's a high number. So we're just trying to figure out why this place has so many paranormal experiences. And some people just get addicted to this place too. They're obsessed with it.
There's a place over here like that as well.
That
I've been there. I've only been there once, but I had dreams about it. I still do on occasion.
So I'm learning all about that too, because there's certain locations that just connect with people for some reason, like the dreams and thinking about the house when you're not, almost like it's a person. So we're trying to figure out a little bit more about that.
You sort of miss it in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, you're right. You're not
That's the way I
alone.
can express it.
There's people that talk about this place that we're talking about now. It's like this connection to it. They think about it at night. They feel bad that it's
Like
all alone.
Castlemaine, I miss Castlemaine. That was my home.
Yeah,
Jail there.
it's
That
so
was
weird though, right? Because some people, like we talked about before, just run away from these haunted locations, and if they set foot inside things like this, the idea of becoming obsessed with it or thinking about it is so foreign to them. you know, but there's other people who just are immersed in it and are almost like reality, or not reality, but the immersion is so intense that it almost like they become connected or one with it.
yeah. You see it in your dreams and you think about it.
Mhm.
And shed the occasional tear over it. But I'm a marshmallow anyway. Oh wow, hour and 10. Oh my God, I should let you go, Brand. I really should. You've got to eat, I dare say.
Well, today was Thanksgiving here in the States, so
Oh, of
I
course, happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, so I did a lot of eating
Happy
earlier. So you
Thanksgiving to
might
everyone over there.
the idea that so I'm more on that could fall asleep type thing after all the food that we ate this afternoon.
Food coma. Food
Yeah,
coma.
yeah. Actually, I fell asleep a little before this thing. Um, but
Oh man. Oh, I didn't. I would have been fine with jumping on early, but yeah,
oh no,
I did.
it's perfect. It's nice because it's a holiday, and usually for
Oh, that's
Thanksgiving, at least here in the States, everyone eats around like 1, so everyone's gone by like 4, 5. And then
yeah.
tomorrow, unfortunately for tomorrow, I have off, so this is actually a perfect time.
Ah, that's good. Well, that's great then. Well, at least we had it more than I had more time than I expected us to have. But it's been surreal actually, but it's been fantastic. So
Yeah,
many years, and yeah,
yeah.
I was awkward back then, and I'm still not quite human. And yes, but
Well,
wow, it was cool talking to you again after such a long time. And I really do hope you will stick around, because Ashley, I think, thought of, we could do a round table at the end and,
oh, that's a good
get
idea.
here and there and jump in and talk about general stuff or whatever they took from it or whatever they took from anyone's chats or I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a great idea, I think.
Yeah, I
You
think
know, I
that's a
like
great idea. Mhm.
I like that academia, you guys are, well, look at the way the ghost hunting general population is in the norm, where, you know, it's sort of what is it that Ellen Tiller posted about? Competition begins at the bottom, collaboration begins at the top, and you guys have all been great just in jumping in and
Yeah, I think
just in
I
in
came
helping
across
me.
when I was at one of those paranormal cons. I came across like a paracelebrity, and they had said that there's a disconnect between like academics and parapsychologists and ghost hunters, and I actually don't see that. I actually see the opposite. I feel like if you reach out to anybody, whether it's a
Hmm.
ghost hunter reaching out or an amateur just getting into the field reaching out to
Yeah.
a parapsychologist, they always respond, and it's the
Yeah,
same
I
the
mean,
other
the
way.
trick is reaching out. The trick is reaching out, really, I guess.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing called citizen science out there, and like
Yes,
Ryan
yes.
Lath and James Horan are looking for
Yeah.
um, you know ghost hunters to help them collaborate with their work. They actually have been encouraging them to help them. And
Well,
I
I'll
think,
jump in with that because I've written a paper already, but yeah, I wrote an article already, but yeah, I've got experiments and stuff. But I love that sort of stuff. You mean it's better than the egos and the, fraud and yeah, just the general stuff. And
yeah, I think it's I don't get a lot
I
of it, but
can't
I don't
emphasize enough for jumping on and helping, me help others. I mean, it's just I was, as I said to you just when we were chatting earlier, I was nearly dead at the end of last year, and coming back to see it was the same old thing.
Mhm.
It's just, it's like, well, can't anything change ever? But yeah. Well, I don't know if it ever can, but I can't thank you guys enough, all of you guys, for jumping on. I mean,
Yeah,
and you, awesome in agreeing in years ago. That was, yeah, I mean, I had your book. That blew me away. Wow, this guy whose book I've got is going to chat to me.
yeah, that's the thing. I have never come across any resistance from like academics, and then I consider
Yeah,
myself more of a citizen science than an academic, because I'm kind of, I don't teach full time. I don't have a PhD. That's not who I am. I'm more of a I help that stuff, but I'm more interested. I'm kind of in the middle between someone who is just like a starting in the field, and someone who's like an academic whose their full time job is to study like parapsychology
yes.
and research. But I always found that there's not really that much of a hate relationship there. I think sometimes um, I don't know, there could be a little bit of jealousy sometimes in the field,
Hmm,
but I don't see it as often as I did maybe 5 years ago. I feel like
I
things
don't
have
get
calmed down a little bit, but maybe
I
that's
don't
just who I surround myself with.
I don't get the competitive element. That's why, yeah, I try to
Yeah,
stay out of all that. And it's high school stuff to me, I guess. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
I think nowadays, I mean, maybe 5, 6 years ago, there was like these groups that were really competing to try to be on TV, and now
Hmm,
like TV has sort of like network TV has gone away, and now it's more independent stuff.
hmm,
So you can have independent documentaries or YouTube channels and still get a pretty good following, like the Uncanny, the podcasts, the Astonishing Legend podcasts.
hmm,
I think it's moving more towards like independent
hmm.
creation. Like
And I think,
Hellyear's a good example of that.
and I mean, if it's, I mean, a TV thing, yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay as long as it's not, as long as it's an educational sort of thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I was going to, crap, I'm babbling again. I was going to say, because, I mean, we look at the TV ghost hunting stuff,
Mhm.
and that's entertainment, but some people think the real life stuff is kind of boring. But if it's done right, I don't see why there's that lack of interest in stuff done properly, because it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. Stuff could be both boring and entertaining at the same time, right? There could be boring parts
Well,
to a movie.
there's a lot of tedium and
Yeah,
drinking coffee and eating biscuits and
yeah, but it's
and
experience too. So
playing because you're bored and that sort of thing. But
oh gosh,
aside,
yeah, yeah, we've all been there where we're just sitting someplace at like 2 in the morning, questioning
yeah,
our decisions in our life.
twiddling the thumbs sort of
What
thing. Yeah.
what got me here? Why am I
Is
sleeping
that
on it?
spider on the wall dead or is it alive?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Um, we've all
That's
been
my
in those
only
kind
thing.
of locations. Yeah,
Spiders and mannequins. Spiders and mannequins.
yeah.
Well, they're scary in dark rooms. Now, I should let you go, dear. Go hang out with your wife and your dog. I can't remember the dog's name. What's the dog's name?
Sadie. Sadie's her name.
Sadie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's
Well,
sleeping.
give Sadie pats for me and go fall into a food coma or something.
I'm hungry again. That's the problem with eating at 12 o'clock.
Well,
Before the meal
turkey
is,
sandwiches. Turkey
yeah,
sandwiches, I guess.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I gotta cook shortly too. I'm gonna do I don't know what yet. Bread or something or cheesecake. I don't know. Something
Well,
short.
there you go.
Yes.
That sounds
Well,
good.
well, summer over here. Cheesecake beats the heat. But I should let you go anyways. Go eat, go rest, go enjoy the rest of your day. I
Yes.
mean,
Well,
it's
thanks for
Thanksgiving.
having me on. I really appreciate
I,
it.
well, thank you. I completely forgot it was Thanksgiving. I didn't realize it. I get dates mixed up because I'm
Well,
not over
it's
there, of course.
an American holiday, so I don't expect everyone to remember that.
Well, I only got bombarded with Thanksgiving stuff when I turned on Facebook this morning to see what was going on and
Yep. Yeah.
stuff set up. But yeah, God, thank you so much for jumping on a holiday.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job with this. I guess I'll call it. I don't know what this is, a podcast or. or whatever it's
I'm
called.
not sure. I never knew it was called that until
Whatever.
someone.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, it's good. I watch the videos. I do
Thank
watch
you.
them, so I think you're doing a good job.
Well, I still read your book here and there. It's always a reference thing, and yeah. I was writing about. I had something about something from your book in a recent post I made for my website anyway. But yeah, now go eat,
All
sleep,
right.
hang out, enjoy, and thank you so much, Brandon. It's been
All right.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you heaps. Thank you to anybody that watched. And signing out. We'll catch you shortly. Brandon will catch you shortly as well. Catch him at Haunted Theories and Academia and read his book. Read. Anyways, this is me out of here. Bye, folks. Bye, Brandon. Have a good night.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.